Hello, I'd like to explain to you how technological innovation in what seems like a mundane area like rust removal can have a material positive impact on ocean health, strengthening and improving the ocean's resilience to the effects of climate change. So let's start at the beginning. Not many people realise that paint is plastic, and the industrial and marine worlds are full of steel assets that are covered in paint to protect them from corrosion. However, that force of nature corrosion can only be slowed down. It cannot be stopped. And as those steel assets corrode, paint residuals, approximately 50% of which are made up of plastic, fall into the sea as microplastics. And on top of that, when the asset owner decides to repaint the asset, they must firstly remove the old paint and rust. And to do that, they generally use the traditional methods of either open grit blasting or high pressure water jetting. And the end result? Well, the old paint residuals, now crushed into microplastics, end up in the environment, and most often in the oceans, because those steel assets I spoke about are mostly located in the sea, oil rigs and ships, over the sea, bridges, or beside the sea, oil refineries and shipyards. And to put this into perspective, and taking just the 184 oil rigs in the North Sea, sandblasting and water jetting on those rigs alone cause paint microplastic emissions that are the equivalent to dumping up to 14 million plastic bottles into the North Sea every year. We estimate that globally between 1.5 and 2.25 million tons of paint microplastics are dumped into the oceans every year. So you might say, that's not good, but what can we do about it? Well, Pinovo, a Norwegian company, has developed and patented vacuum blasting technology that will protect ocean health, reducing the impact of climate change on the oceans in two ways. Firstly, Pinovo reuses the blasting grit up to 20 times. This significantly reduces grit production and its transport, and in this way lowers the life cycle CO2 emissions by over 60% compared to the traditional methods of open blasting. It may not be zero emissions, but it's a big step in the right direction. On top of that, we can recycle the used grit to give it more lives in future maintenance operations, further reducing CO2 emissions. Secondly, by stopping all those paint microplastic emissions entering the ocean, we protect ocean health and biodiversity, considerably strengthening the capacity of the oceans to mitigate the negative impacts of climate change. It really is that simple, in theory. In practice, it's much more challenging to convince a traditional industry, surface maintenance, to change its practices that go back over 100 years. For that reason, we're very grateful to Uplink and the World Economic Forum for their support of our efforts to put the issues of paint microplastics and stopping open blasting over the oceans on the agenda. We need people to realise that paint is plastic. So next time you're driving over a bridge and you see someone repainting the bridge and blasting off the old paint and rust, ask yourself, how's the blasting being done? In the good old traditional manner where the grit is used only once, and then the whole lot, including the grit, rust and paint microplastic residuals, are all dumped into the ocean, or cleanly with vacuum blasting, with collection and reuse of the grit and recovery of all the paint microplastic residuals for recycling or safe disposal. Even better, why not raise this issue at a political and regulatory level in your municipality or at a national level where you live? The anti-pollution laws are already in place in most parts of the world. What's needed now is awareness, and you can play your part in making that happen. As I hope I've been able to show you, changing from dirty, traditional blasting to innovative and sustainable, clean vacuum blasting can make a significant positive contribution to improved ocean health. So remember, paint is plastic and stop open blasting over the oceans. Thank you.